licensed in New York and New Jersey, hosting today with
Mike Van Mantar with Cross Country Mortgage.
And today's very special guest. Who do we have with us today?
Kevin Toohey with Keller Williams Realty.
Kevin, I'm so excited to have you on the radio.
I made it this time.
I know. You were supposed to be my guest a while ago, and then, I guess life happens, and we had to reschedule. So we are back, and it's going to be a great show. Today we're going to kind of talk a little bit about some, what's going on in the new year. Aspirational show, maybe a little bit. We're also going to do market stats as we start the year. We're going to talk about when you should list your home if you're thinking of moving. And as always, we are going to be open to your questions. So if you have some questions, you can call in at 845-651-1110. If you don't want to have your voice heard, which, by the way, no big deal, call in. You can text us at 845-328-0886. So, we generally like to start the show with a little bit of how was everybody's weekend? Anything fun and exciting?
I'm trying to think. No, nothing. It's a pretty quiet weekend.
You had a quiet...
Oh, yeah, I told you that I started a 75 hard. Day one was Saturday, so it was, it's grueling. It's
Yeah, so aspirationally speaking, you are, you have a 75 days of focus
hard
on...
work, yeah.
Yeah.
I heard it's hard.
It is, yeah. So like 2024, we were saying more in 2024, and now I'm doing live in 2025, which is why I'm first time live today on my little Facebook thing.
Nice.
I'll figure this out eventually, guys. It's growing pains, right?
Always. Kevin, how about you?
I saw this really cool Edgar Allan Poe thing on Friday night.
Oh, I saw it on Thursday night.
I know.
It was really great.
It was pretty wild.
For anyone who may have seen the advertisements for it on Facebook and such, the Sugarloaf Performing Arts Center hosted a traveling show for 3 nights, and it was this concept of an Edgar Allan Poe speakeasy. So they had 4 amazing actors, each performing some take on one of the famous Edgar Allan Poe short stories or poems, and then there was a paired drink that went with it, which you could have.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah,
interesting.
with or without spirits. And they did an amazing job. The host was funny, and I love when we get some interesting and different things coming to town.
It was great.
Yeah, the Sugarloaf Performing Arts Center has been putting on a bunch of different things. They've been bringing in smaller performers in the back, kind of in like the smaller space where we had a Christmas party. And then, they have the bigger events in the theater that has like the theater seating. And so
I've never been in there.
What?
Yeah, I've never been in. It's like funny because it's right around the corner, right?
It is,
It'll
right?
be on my 2025 list.
All right, live in 25,
Yep.
going to the Sugarloaf Performing Arts Center. I love it. Anyway, so that was that. Other than that, we had the baby shower this weekend and some, work. There was work involved. I showed some houses.
There's always work involved.
Got a new listing up in down in Cliffside Park in New Jersey, and then just kind of following up. I've got some lackadaisical things going on. Like people, like this is, I say it all the time, and I know it's terrible. I hate winter real estate. I don't know if you're aware of that. People just have no sense of urgency in the winter. It's the holidays. Half the people, like business-wise, people are closed. Attorney-wise, they're on vacation, or part of their office isn't there. It's like things. In real estate, you got to keep things moving in order to make them happen. And when things slow down, it's like these transactions are just getting stretched. I'm really over it.
Well, nobody knew what day it was till today.
This is
the last
correct.
3 weeks.
I was actually happy
understand.
to wake up today and go, all right, well, we're past the holiday week. Let's actually do some work because it feels like a lot of people were in the clouds for 2 weeks.
I thought last Thursday was Monday. I was so confused.
Well, we're back. And for everyone I'm involved in a transaction with, it's happening. We are moving forward, or I'm going to find someone willing to move forward. Anyway, oh my goodness. That being said, let's chat a little bit about the market. Why don't we start with Mike and where we are with rates? Because I have to tell you, as you know,
it's always a sigh when you look at me and I have to bring up rates because I'd
You're
love
the
to
bad
say
guy.
they're
You're the
down
bad
a
guy.
point. They're down a point, but they're not. They're actually, they're still hovering in that 7% range, give or take. I haven't looked at pricing yet today, but I would willing to bet if the 10 years up, they're probably close to that, maybe even a little over. I know about a year or so ago, we kept talking about this 2-1 buy down or 3-2-1 buy down. We really got to bring that back in the fold to start discussing it again. It's a way to get sellers to sell their houses. I mean, I see listings are sitting longer depending on the market that you're in. You have to start advertising that 2-1 buy down or 3-2-1 in your listing and give the buyers a concession to give them that, and it really does benefit them if it's explained properly. And I think that's what we're going to start seeing a lot of this first 6 months of the year, because for so long it was 2025 rates are going to be lower. That didn't happen.
No.
I mean, September was the lowest in 2 years, I think, and then they just crept up since then. And from what I'm seeing and reading, I really don't think they're going to start substantially dropping till the back half of 2025 and then really float down in the end. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. And yeah, so get used to that word, the buy down. It's a great product. I mean, I'm happy to explain it to anyone that wants to get a better idea of what it does, but it's just a way for buyers to save money temporarily and get into the house.
Yeah, no, that's a great program. I just talked to a friend of mine yesterday, and he's going to sell his house sometime in the summer. And I said, if the rates stay where they're at, it's a huge incentive for a buyer. I said, just do it. Just put it out there.
People are so focused on the price of the house, but build it in. Like we were talking about over the weekend selling the house in Colorado, because I'm like, hey, it's just sitting there. We go out there every once in a while, and we're thinking about what it could actually list for or sell for. I'm like, look, let's tack 20 grand onto it, give the buyer an incentive, give them a 3% lower interest rate or whatever the dollar amount needs to be, and they'll come in and get a 4% rate, and I don't know many buyers that'll say no to that.
Right.
And then as rates fall, prices go up, and they just refi.
The reality is the seller's probably laying out some sort of money anyway,
Yeah.
whether through an inspection credit, through a concession, through a commission, whatever it is. Why not just put it out there?
Yeah, I don't get it. People they don't understand it. That's always the case.
they don't
It's
understand
just they don't understand it.
Well, it hasn't been around for how many years?
It's been around forever, but no one's.
I mean, where it's
advertised it.
been-
There
where
was
it's been
never,
actively-
we
yeah.
never needed it, right? I never needed to go to the seller. Hey, would you mind helping me out with the rate? No, would you help me with closing costs? Would you help me with this? Now they can actually help you a little bit with the rate. So
Right.
So that's all very exciting stuff.
So hate to be the bearer of bad news, but
No, listen, you can't control it.
yeah.
Go
No.
live in it.
But while we're chatting, I know we're at the time of year where FHA loan limits start to get discussed.
They did go up. I don't want to quote it went over 500. I know, I don't want to misquote it. So it's over 500 now in Orange County.
I'm glad to hear that, because it should parallel something close to our average home sale price, right? And what's so crazy is the counties around us are all up to 900,000.
Yeah,
right?
it's true. I mean,
And
I
so-
saw one that over $1 million in Jersey, for an FHA loan limit. It's
Right.
crazy.
And so how do we stay so repressed? It's very frustrating.
Something changed with Orange County, and it's been in the 10 years. It used to be a high cost county, and then something shifted, and they dropped. We're now in this bucket where it's not high cost anymore, which is crazy because we all know that live here know that it is. So
Right. So,
yeah.
all right.
I'll in the break I'll pull it up, but I believe it's 524 or something like that. We'll figure it out.
Check and see. All right. When we come back after our break, we are going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the market, some stats about how many new listings we have. We are going to talk about timing your listing and when to hit the market. So stay tuned.
Good.
It's so fun. Oh, here it is. What's an FHFA limit versus the FHA limit?
So FHFA is conventional conforming, and then FHA is what FHA is willing to insure it up to. So this is the FHA
That's the
limit,
FHA
yeah.
limit. 524.
So I was close, 524, 425.
And
Does
then-
that have everything? What's Sullivan?
Yeah, I was gonna look. Sullivan. When we get there, see,
See, that doesn't make any sense.
I know it doesn't.
So Sullivan, I think, should be less, right?
So, because the average
Or
selling price in Sullivan is about 100 grand
Right.
less
than
yeah.
Orange County.
Yep, and Rockland is 1.2 million.
Yeah.
They're more than double us.
Right. And the average house there is probably 800.
Yeah.
We're
No,
getting
it's less.
there. I mean,
It's less
we're-
than
Is it
that.
less than 800?
Yeah.
So that doesn't make any sense at all, because we're hovering up on the average selling price of 500,000 now,
Right.
We should be there by mid-year, most likely.
Yeah, it's messed up.
It's messed up.
But you know, it's funny because now sellers are actually willing to look at FHA again too. For many years, they wouldn't even touch it. Like, oh, FHA, no.
FHA is more the real estate agent than the
Yeah,
seller.
well, that's true. But it's the real estate agent educating them. So,
I feel like the other question was, do you have? Do you want to talk a minute about different sorts of programs for down payment assistance?
sure.
I had someone asking me that as well this week. So,
Yep.
all right, we'll do that when we come back in, and then we'll roll into listing homes, and then we'll end with some stats.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
what are the stats? I think listings are up like 8%, right?
Yeah, we're sitting at like 3.4
In Orange County.
in Orange County,
Yeah.
which is 3.4 months, which is
okay.
which is significantly low.
What's the days on market though?
welcome back to the Real Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Christine Koenig from Keller Williams, licensed in New York and New Jersey, hosting today with
Mike Van Mantar with Cross Country Mortgage.
and the ever famous.
Kevin Toohey with Keller Williams.
I love it. So, Kevin, people here know that I switched from another brokerage to you about a year ago, and I'm so excited to have you on air with us because I've really, really enjoyed getting to work with you this past year, and some of the things that I think people don't realize that a manager or team leader or broker or whatever title you want to give yourself does for a team is to be aspirational and motivational, right? Help you get to where you want to be, help you see places you could go that you didn't know you could get to. And so I just wanted to take a minute to kind of wave my Kevin Toohey cheerleader pom-poms and say thank you very much.
Hey, you went all in.
I
You
did
went
go
all
on.
in.
I think,
She did.
I always tell people I can only help you to the amount of your willingness.
right.
That's it.
I say that to agents all the time. It's like, how can I help you grow? And then you give them the tools,
Yep.
and they don't execute. So it's like, well, I can't force you to do the stuff, do the work, right?
I know.
Exactly.
I feel like I'm like 75%, right? Like towards a lot of the goals we started working with, right? And it's like this year, as we're starting aspirationally again for the January, like I'm pushing through, right? That's my goal is to get the stuff that's almost there done and executed and have it become part of the routine, right? Rather than that thing I just have to. I'm almost there, right? Like I feel like
we're
I'm
gonna
like
have some awesome things to talk about in about
Yes,
6 months.
that's correct. That little engine that could. I just feel like I think
right.
I can. I got to get to the top of the mountain and cruise on down. Anyway, Mike, before we finish our mortgage conversation for the day, one of the things I get a lot, especially as prices have climbed and rates are higher, when people are starting to come into the market, and there's some really interesting stats about the average age of first-time home buyers, which is a little scary.
up.
It's like in the 30s.
Yeah, like 38, I think.
Yeah. People are asking, what kind of help can I get? Like, I need help. So what kind of programs do we have for people to help them? And what's the impact, like, on the process?
So there's a ton of products. It really does depend on your location, your income, the state. But to shoot from the hip and tell you about some that are local, well, as a whole, cross country, I think we had a goal to do 10 million in down payment assistance last year. We ended up blowing that out of the water. We gave like 15 million in down payment assistance out. So we have our proprietary products. There's one, I believe it's 6,500, and then it kind of just trickles down from there depending on where you're coming from. So it's 6,500, there's a $3,000 one, or 3,500, and then a 2,500. And the amount is based on the product itself, right? And I can't tell you, hey, you qualify for 6,500. It's when we put the application in, I click a little button, it pulls your address, it knows where you're coming from and where you're buying. It says, all right, you're eligible for this much. And that's kind of how the company looks at it. But then there's statewide ones like Sony May, which everyone's heard a lot about in New York. That's basically a 3% down payment assistance, which is kind of a silent second that sits behind the first mortgage. It doesn't have to be repaid if you occupy the home within, I think it's like 10 years you have to stay in the house. If you sell it within that 10 years, they take a portion of it back. And I believe it gets downgraded each year. So if you let's say you borrowed $15,000 for the down payment, each year it slowly goes down if you do sell in that time frame. So yeah, those are the ones in New York. New Jersey has an incredible one. I'm not an expert on it. I want to say it's like 15,000.
Wow.
And then they give you an additional 10,000 if you're a first-time home buyer of your entire family, like generationally.
Right.
I don't know how they prove that. I've never written one. And again,
I was in a class where they talked about it.
okay,
And
if
the
anyone calls me on it, I'll be sure to do as much research as possible because I may be speaking out of place about the amounts, but it is some crazy number.
Right,
that
and
is really great.
And they, what they did say about that program was, in terms of you proving it, like they're asking, it's sort of like a self.
Oh, so, yeah. You're under oath, basically saying,
Correct.
I am the first person in my family. That makes sense.
You don't have to
I
pull
can-
paperwork.
Yeah, I
on
can see that.
leases that your parents have or anything.
And
You
then
know.
You guys have a great first responder.
Oh yeah,
too, right?
that's something else too. Yeah, there's that. There's the debt forgiveness that we have for first responders, and also police, firemen, EMS, and then I believe they're rolling it out for who are the people that work on the subways and Metro, right?
MTA.
MTA. What are they?
Metro, I think
Yeah,
it's
Metro.
Port Authority.
Port Authority. I forget the actual like name of it, but anyway, yeah, that's another great product. And then what else? Oh, so the GSEs, the Fannie and Freddie, their goal in 2025 is to facilitate more affordability for first-time home buyers. So they're making a big push as well to help with that. And we're going to start to see a lot more programs come out around that. So with these products, some are not income capped, some are. You just really have to see what bucket you fit in when you apply. And then whatever you qualify for, we will, happily give you the money because it obviously benefits you. It benefits us to help as many people as possible.
The one thing that I would say as an agent that I ran into with a couple of the programs is I don't always know that as a mortgage person you're working to make these programs happen. And some of these programs do have a pretty substantial impact on closing dates.
Yes.
And so the one thing I would caution buyers out there and mortgage people is making sure that everybody is looped in on the programs we're trying to use and what the impact is going to be on a closing date.
The specific programs you're talking about are state programs. So that Sony May and that New Jersey one, those are we call bond programs. The state's subsidizing what we're providing, right? So that's an extra layer of underwrite. So we can underwrite it, clear to close the file, just like we would with any other transaction. But then we have to hand it over to the agency that's basically granting the money, right? And they have to rubber stamp it. So that's that extra layer you're talking about.
Yeah.
And as everyone knows with anything that has to do with the state or government, it takes time, right? So we hand it over, package it up nicely, and then say, hey, New York, hey, Jersey, we need you to rubber stamp this. And you're basically in line.
Right.
That's the downfall to those. But if you get ahead of it and you go through it and explain, hey, it's going to take a few extra days and people understand it. It's all about communication.
Right.
It's really not an issue.
Yeah, correct. And just making sure, like, up front, I'm asking different questions, right? So that I can, when I'm writing up my information about, how many days we need to close and things like that.
Yeah, New Jersey, you guys, New York is always on or about. Jersey, it's a drop dead date, right?
Yeah.
If it says this day, it has to close by then, you better get well ahead of it.
Yeah. So anyway, very interesting. So Mike, if people want to call you and talk about this great program.
Oh, 845-239-6565, or you can check me out at MikeVanMansart.com.
I love that. I love
You
that.
can spell it.
Yes.
Just Google me, it'll come up.
You are findable online. I love that. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about shifting gears.
Sure.
My favorite time of the year, right? Spring market.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's the winter.
I know, but you
It's
should
not.
start
It only feels like it's the winter, but
Exactly.
for real estate, it's the spring market.
It's the spring market.
Because people are waking up. I'm starting to get calls. Like, people want to know what do they need to do to get ready to list their home. They want to talk about when they should be listing. And I always tell people, you cannot list your home too early in the spring.
No.
You cannot. And if you look at the stats, when you get on the market early, inventory is still low, you get a better price because people are ready. They're chomping at the bit. They want to hop on it. We have had inventory shortages for years now. And so the idea that more homes are coming on the market, the buyers are ready earlier and earlier. And so provided we have continued reasonably mild winters, we don't have that like lull, right? We used to have like, we used to be under 3 feet of snow and nobody was going anywhere, right? We don't really have that right now. And so our market has been strong right through January and February. So you can't put your house on too early. I don't think I can say that.
There's a seasonal misconception.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
So if the spring market definitely is the hotter period, right? A lot of people want to wait to buy till the kids are out of school for the year, etc. But every listing that comes on the market, if you're a seller, is your competition.
Right.
So if you're proactive and go a month ahead of everybody else, you'll probably get a higher price and sell it faster. And you can control the closing dates.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
You can say, hey, look, I can sell the house, but I can't move out till June. I got to let the kids. It's okay.
Yeah. I tell people all the time when that not every buyer is the buyer for your house, and that you can set parameters that you need. A lot of times we've been doing, contingent on seller finding suitable housing, which is a way to say I need more time. We can state outright in our agent notes that, seller can't move until, if there's a date you need to be in because of graduation or something like that. There are a lot of different things. I tell the same way not every house is for everyone. Not that the terms might not be for everyone.
That's right.
But that doesn't mean that you're not going to find your buyer, right? And so if you lay out what you need up front, you don't have to be reactionary about it. You're just looking for the person who's the right buyer for not only your home, but your terms.
Right. I mean, the reality is from the time you list the house to the time you move out, it's going to be 120 to 150 days.
Right.
Roughly.
Yeah,
So
it takes
there's
2
a
weeks,
lot of time.
2 to 3 weeks to do a contract, and you have another. I mean, the bank work's easy, but the rest of the stuff takes time.
It's the
Municipal
inspections,
title,
yeah.
inspections, yeah. The bank work is really quick, but we wait on. I mean, I can't tell you. I have a deal. It's been like 2 months, and we're waiting on a violation to get cleared.
Correct, and that's out of everybody's hands.
It is, and that's why we don't lock at submission anymore because of the extension costs. If you really want to extend 60 days, it's crazy.
Right. And the seller doesn't want to pay that.
The
And
seller
buyer
never does.
Right?
No,
The buyer
the
doesn't want
seller's
to pay it.
responsibility.
Right.
Unfortunately, but they can drag their feet, as much as they want in
Right,
New York.
or it's not even them dragging their feet. It's just getting through the bureaucracy of some of the things that need to be done. Which is why it's important to call in your real estate agent early, right? There is nothing like over communicating through that pre-listing process. You want to meet with an agent who is really going to be able to shepherd you through the process, walk through the house with you. They're going to see things that are going to raise red flags in their head, and they're going to ask questions that are going to prompt you to say, oh yeah, you know what? I don't think I ever closed that permit. Or, yeah, we did all this work. Oh, you did all this work? Did you use a contractor? No, my cousin did it.
Yeah.
Your cousin did it. Did he open permits? No. Oh, okay. You're going to want to work on that. So,
I built that shed and that fence.
uh-huh.
I can think of at least 4 or 5 transactions last year that I had to tell the seller. They were a buyer, and they're like, well, I want to wait till I find something before I sell. I'm like, you need to list your house. Talk to a realtor right away. Get it listed. That way you know how much you're going to net, at least kind of roundabout. And you can just set the expectation that that fear of stepping forward, I think, is the hard part for a lot of people.
It is the hard part, right? I'm sure you see that a lot too.
All the time. I mean, the average person's in the house now about 12 years. It used to be 7 not too long ago.
Yeah.
So, there's an emotional tie for sellers that's hard to break through.
Mm-hmm.
They at least know the number, they can at least get an idea, and then at the end of the day, if it doesn't work, they don't have to sell it, right?
Right.
Exactly. There's not a gun to their head saying, you must sell. So, yeah.
I don't know. I may carry that gun. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. We're going to hear from our sponsors, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the market. So here's super interesting, as I've been looking
That's
at.
Jersey, I don't care about that.
I know, but we're gonna mention the 2 counties that are close to us anyway. So their markets are still going up 10%.
Yeah.
Right. Our market is going up much slower than that now. If we look at our median sale price, 6.5, so, and that's Orange County. If you look at
That's still double the 30-year average.
but if you look at our local, like Chester is up 1%, 1.5%. Warwick was up not so much. Greenwood Lake did good. Warwick median sale price was down in the village.
What was?
Warwick's down 8%. Median sale price.
Yeah, but that's also inventory driven.
Goshen had a really good year. Warwick Town, pretty flat. But Minnesink is down a little bit. It's always interesting. And by the way, I did this by, oh no, I didn't do this one by school district. I do these ones by school district. Greenville, up 18%.
I can see that. People want a little land and space, bigger houses for a better price.
What is our price per square foot these days? $269 countywide.
That's what it comes down to. at the end of the day. That's the real indicator. Price per square foot.
All right, Kevin. Is there anything you would like to specifically talk about today? Should I tee you up on a conversation? Just chilling?
Just chilling.
Chilling.
I'll follow your lead.
Hi, 24. We're rocking January.
I know.
And my furniture's
We're
broken.
going down to 17.
Welcome back to the Real Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Christine Koenig with Keller Williams, licensed in New York and New Jersey, hosting today with
Mike Van Metzar with Cross Country Mortgage.
and our special guest.
Kevin too, at Keller Williams First in New York.
You know, growing up, we always used to watch like sitcoms, and my favorite part of things like The Love Boat or whatever was always like, who's the special guest star,
who's the special
right?
guest
So when I said that just now, I had this visual of like your face in a star, like zooming, right? Oh my God, I love 70s and 80s TV. It was the best. Anyway, we are here today talking about, it's January. We're talking about the market. We're talking about getting ready to list your home. If you do have some questions for us, you should call us. We love to chat. 845-651-1110 or give us a text at 845-328-0886. Kevin loves to answer questions. So
I do.
I know you do. You're very good. I don't know where
I
you come
try.
up. I don't know where you
I
come
try.
up with all that stuff, but
I got a question from the real estate side. So we know that you said this is the spring market, even though we're in winter. But is it historically like the third week of January is like the best time to list? Is that what it is? I know there's like a number, right? Like a date that happens to be the best. What are you guys telling your sellers? Because I think my business, you know, we always have that holiday slowdown. I find that February seems to be the busiest. Like January is, we're still kind of in that holiday thaw. People are deciding what they want to do for their aspirations, like you said. But then February is just like, it's the shortest month and it seems to be the busiest. So why is that? Is it because people are listing in the middle of January?
I think from your side of it, you're talking about the buyers getting pre-approvals.
Right.
So you're in the middle of tax season, so tax returns are starting to come in. Now people have an extra $5,000, $6,000, $10,000. Now, like, hey, maybe we should buy a house.
Yeah.
Let's call the mortgage person and find
Or
out.
their tax person's like, you need a write-off. You need to buy a house.
right.
you're paying too much in tax.
Because you're always going to be about 2 or 3 months ahead of us.
That's true, yeah.
Right.
I mean, I have tons of pre-approved buyers that still can't find houses, you know, so.
I think in terms of traditionally with inventory, you start to see spring market inventory for real come on in that last week of February, you know, through March. And I still think like the busiest in terms of numbers of houses coming on the market is late March, early April.
Yeah. And we're such a weird funk the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Inventory is the lowest it's been in years. I think in 2024, we'll probably finish at about 4.2 million homes sold in the U.S., which is down, about 2 million from 3 years ago.
Yeah, which is, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
By the way, we have a caller.
We do.
Yes, hi.
Hello.
Yeah, what's your name and what's your question?
Well, actually, I know you do.
Ah.
Tammy Menzo with Keller Williams.
Hey, Cammy.
Never heard of you.
I've never heard of you. I have a question for Kevin, because I have been talking to a few people who are thinking about getting their license, but they're nervous because, like me, it would be a career change. I'm an high school English teacher turned realtor. So I guess my question, for Kevin, because sometimes I feel like I struggle answering this question, is, if you look at your Capper Wall or your top 20%, what a few qualities, whatever it is, a few things that new agents can do to be successful in the business and make it? Because I don't know what's the usual rate every 2 years, what's the 80 to 90% don't make it
Correct.
the first 2 years?
Yeah, but 80% don't make it after 2 years. And about half of that group don't make it past the next cycle, 4 years. But Cam, it's engagement. It's engagement. You know, we just had this conversation a little bit off air, and you know, you have to have the willingness to be able to put in the time and do the work. You know, we have a lot of successful agents that started as dual career. They had full-time jobs. They progressed into the real estate role, but it takes a little time. Just like anything else, you have to build a customer base. You have to build a database. But if you're willing to do the time, you're willing to put in the effort, and you're willing to wait out until those seeds start to grow, then it's quite possible. You know, you talk about our capital wall, right? So our top 20% of our agents, you know, we have over 350 agents. So, you know, the top 20, 70 agents, majority of those are homegrown. They're people that came into the business out of the street. They got their real estate license. They went to work, you know, and just followed the model. They followed the program. They got into our coaching programs. You know, we have Kelly Barry, who's fantastic, and she works along with Christine, and they would work with our new agents. Christine has a fantastic first 100 days program that she put in place for all our new agents. And if the agents follow that, they'll be okay. You know, I think a lot of them expect they're going to open the window and these leads are going to fly in, and that's not always the case.
Yeah, and they see the big checks that realtors make,
Yeah.
right? And they don't realize that that could be their only one for the whole year.
That's right.
So you have to. I'm reading the book now, is Fanatical Prospecting.
Mm-hmm.
That is I'm only on the first, let's say 6 chapters, but it really is you have to just go after
And
it.
it's more important than ever right now.
Oh, especially right now, yeah.
The Mike Van Mansart book club. Let's read it
I know.
together.
Yeah.
Well, it's part of my 75 hard, 10 minutes a
But
day.
they, you know, and I'm glad you called in, Cam, because you're a great example. I mean, you do the work.
Yeah.
You know, you do the work. You go to the events. You show up at the different events around the towns you want to do business in. You get involved. You know, that's really what it takes.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. And I think that what's important too, as you said, is having the coaching. You know,
Yep.
when I started, it was with a smaller mom and pop agency, which was fine. You know, I like the boutique feel on one aspect, but you know, we offer, you know, that coaching, that productivity coaching.
Yep.
So that way you're not just thrown to the wolves as soon as you know.
Right. Right. And one thing.
Or flounder, right?
flounder.
Like not knowing what things to do. You know, we laugh because, and Cammie, you know it's true. You could spend all day doing real estate stuff and do nothing to grow your business and feel like you were productive, but not actually move your business forward. And so,
You know, one.
I'm bad with that. Now that we're talking, you know, it's winter time. I'm really bad with it.
We all hibernate.
Boot camp class this morning because it was cold. So even in the winter time, yeah, you have to always be looking ahead.
yeah.
But you know, I mean, Cam, the only magic bullet is talk to people. I mean, that's all we got is talk to people.
Yeah.
You know, I'm particularly proud too of how we operate with our agents too. We're not solely focused on your real estate business.
No.
We want to help you grow wealth and grow other opportunities for income. You know, and you're a great one. If anybody wants to call Cammie and talk about that, she can explain that. But there are other sources of income that we try to create for our agents to make sure that we get through the cycles. Because real estate is a cycle. I mean, it is seasonal. And how do we buffer that?
Yeah. Right. And, you know, it's the adage, like, you're only as good as your next sale.
That's right.
That puts a lot of pressure on a real estate agent who's solely doing real estate for, you know, for their livelihood. You have to be able to, as you said, budget through the down cycles. And so I love the focus on entrepreneurship that Keller has, because it gives people the vision that, like, a lot of times real estate agents have tunnel vision, right? Like, I'm going to be a really good agent, right? But the real estate industry accounts for a huge part of our GDP, and it's not just home sale prices.
Correct.
And there are so many ancillary spokes to our business, and there's no reason that an agent can't be on one of those spokes to balance the ups and downs of the market.
Right. There's a ton of opportunity in that sale.
Yeah.
There's 12 to 15 hands in that pot.
Right.
That's the reality.
That's
Inspectors,
also who
mortgage.
you can be getting leads from too. Like,
Yep.
how many deals do you give your inspectors or your landscapers or your landscape architects, whatever? Those are all potential clients or referral partners that you know, it's kind of one-sided, a lot of this. But yeah, you should ask your inspectors. Ask
Everybody on the planet is a potential
I
client.
know, it's true. I gotta get that mindset too.
Everybody needs a roof.
Yeah, that's correct. So, thanks for calling
Thanks,
in,
Tammy.
Cammy.
So so I think for those people that are on the fence about real estate license, the kind of what to say is do it and then kind of put your foot in it, right? Is what you're saying? Like start it out.
Well,
see how
it's
going.
having the right mindset.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, you know, if you approach real estate as a job, you've already missed the boat.
Yeah.
You have to approach real estate. It's your own business.
Yeah.
You're an independent contractor. You run your own business. You're
But they can
responsible
always
for your
start
expenses.
part-time,
You're responsible
right?
for your own. You can always start part time. Yeah. There's no reason you can't start.
Do
part-time.
open houses on the weekend. A lot of agents need those buyers agents, right, to
Yep.
do their open
Yep.
houses. That's an easy way to start. That I would think. I mean, when I started this business, I was round robining to open houses. Like people were sick of seeing me. You know, I was like, hey, I'm.
It's
like,
still one of the best sources.
Yeah.
It's still one of the best sources for business.
Yeah.
But a new agent, I tell them, if I interview a new agent and I say, "Do you have another job?" and they say, "Yes," I say, "Good, don't quit yet."
Yeah,
Right.
don't quit.
Because
Don't quit till you
because
make
the
it.
reality is, even if you got in New York, you're still 90 to 100 days away from your first check.
Oh yeah.
Even if you got lucky enough to have a client day one, you're still not getting paid for 90 days.
Right.
Yep.
It is really, it's interesting. Right. By the way, I think if I knew the real stats on that, I may never have started.
Nah.
We shouldn't share that information.
Nobody. Gary Keller, I think, is the only person on the planet that woke up and said, "Hey, I think I want to be a real estate agent." The rest of us kind of stumbled into this, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely true.
You know, we
We're on the
had all these
opposite side.
ambitions to do other things, and
And other jobs.
we're like, "Well, that didn't work out." Well, you know what? I'm going to get my real estate license. I watch Selling Sunset. It's easy.
Yeah. By the way, I've never watched any of those shows.
I've never seen Selling Sunset.
Yeah. The only one I've seen is the one Sue Onderdonk was on.
Oh yeah, I did
once,
watch that
right?
one too. Yeah.
So it was one of
House
the ones.
Hunters or
House,
something?
yeah, and like you know, you watch buyers go to 3 houses, and like they have reasonable expectations for it, right. We're not selling like Manhattan or anything, right?
Right.
So you look at a lake house, or you look at they want to move their family to some fancy suburb or whatever. And they do 3 houses, and like you're trying to guess which one they're going to pick, and then lo and behold, they pick one. What they don't really tell you is that house was bought like 6 months ago or a year ago, and then they backfill with,
Oh yeah, that is true.
which always cracked me up.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, what? Now I can't watch this kind of show anymore. Anyway, all right, let's talk about inventory. Let's talk about Orange County as a whole, and then we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about some of the local communities. So Orange County is, we're doing great, right?
Yeah.
So
Price-wise, the prices are still going up.
prices are still going up. If we look countywide from the last, I always like to look at the rolling 12 months, right? Like what happened our last 12 months to the 12 months before that. And our price is up 6.5%.
Yep.
That's a great investment,
Right.
right?
I always tell people, you know the cheapest day to buy a house is? Today.
Today.
I use that in my cost of waiting analysis when I tell people.
Oh my
like,
gosh.
they're like, oh well, I'm spending so much money. I'm like, well, you're gonna miss out on 3 to 6%.
But Uncle Lou said there's going to be a crash.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I
I just
feel
shake my
like-
head and go, Uncle Lou. Yeah.
Uncle Lou said there's going to be a crash.
I feel like that's a conversation you need to have with one of our shared clients.
Okay, yeah, definitely. I do it in my buyer presentation. We pull it up. I say, hey, you're buying this house at this much, and the average
Yeah.
appreciation is this. And here, yeah, you're laying out a bunch in the beginning, but look, you're going to recap that in this
Right.
period of time. So,
So, yeah, 6.5%. But I think that's great investment. Some of the other things I like to look at, new listings over the last 12 months. From the previous 12 months in Orange County, we're up 3.7%. So we are getting some more listings coming onto
Right.
the market.
It's starting to open up.
It's starting to open up a little bit. And I'm a little hopeful that we're going to have a really strong listing year this year, because I'm starting to, I'm getting the perks, right? Things are percolating, right? I like that. It's like Christine's completely unofficial.
Is that the Christine ball? The crystal ball?
Yes,
The
it's-
Christine ball?
The ball is percolating.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like my Magic 8 ball. It
Yes,
popped
yes,
up.
yes. Magic eight
Percolating.
ball. Nice. The only thing concerning about, we talked about this the other day. There is one concerning piece in Orange County, and that's the affordability index right
Yeah.
now. It's below 100, which is, I think it was 96.5 or something. So it's close, but that's a sign that the prices are pricing the income,
Yeah.
Right.
right? And, a lot of that's due to the inflation over the last 3 years, plus the home prices have gone up, and the wages haven't quite caught up yet.
Right.
So eventually they hope that's not terrible, but it's not a good sign either for us. But it doesn't mean that's what's in the county.
Correct.
People coming from the city, it's a little higher, so it's not
Right, because their
it kinda
income is
offsets,
their income is city income coming in. Hey, we're going to take a quick break and hear from our sponsors. We'll be right back. Speedy.
Speedy.
Speedy. All right. Where should we dig into next? Oh, look, it's my
I think the
commercial.
affordability was a good.
And that foundation gave me the confidence to become the realtor I am today. When choosing your agent, experience matters. Licensed in New York and New Jersey, I've helped hundreds of people buy and sell their homes and start their real estate investment portfolios. Find me at listwithchriskate.com, and that's Chris with a C, and choose Christine Koenig to be your realtor because experience
You have
matters.
your own commercial too?
I do. I place 5 times a week. It brings me no business. States people are moving from and to. I always think that's always interesting.
I know. I was reading that article this weekend. I was like, I should.
Oh yeah, what is that?
It's south.
Well, South's getting.
Florida,
Not
Arizona,
Florida,
North.
but like more South Carolina.
I mean, Florida is the #1 state people are moving to.
Oh,
They're moving from California, New York, Illinois, New Jersey, and Massachusetts, and they're moving
That
to
doesn't surprise me.
Florida, Arizona, North Carolina, South
Florida
Carolina.
actually surprises me
as I was
after this
walking
hurricane
in
season.
28
Well,
degrees
How old is that article?
it's a newer article, but it takes into account the whole last year, not like the
Right.
last 3 months. I gotta tell you, everyone I know is still moving to Florida. They just are. Everyone.
Texas is coming up too. Texas.
so hot though in Florida and Texas.
I don't mind. Yeah.
Really hot.
I prefer Florida. Texas heat I don't like. Arizona heat I don't like. But this is a good list for part of world domination today when
Correct.
I talk about recruiting.
Correct.
This is where I should be looking.
That's right. That's where you're going to see the influx of agents. More houses, more agents. Less houses, less agents.
Yeah, more people moving, referrals, all that good stuff.
Yep.
Kevin and I are going to plan my year this year today.
U.S. domination.
Just world domination.
I just shake my head yes when she goes.
Be first in Florida.
Welcome to the Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Christine Koenig, hosting today with
Mike Van Metzar with Cross Country Mortgage.
and
Kevin Toohey with Keller Williams First in New York.
so I like to take at least one time during a show to tell people how to find me, so when they're ready to list their homes, they know who to call.
That's right.
Which is, call Christine. My web address is listwithchrisk.com, and that's Chris with a C. All right, so go there, call me, and let's plan for your 2025.
Are you looking at me to get mine?
If you
Oh,
want,
okay, sure.
I know you gave it before, but I
MikeVanMansart.com.
think that's part of what we want to be doing.
Yes, you're absolutely right. We don't do enough of it. Self-promotion.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Right? You can. What's Magic Johnson? You can do good while doing good.
That's right.
Do well by doing good.
That's
Something
right.
like that.
You can do well by doing good. Yeah, something like that.
Giver's gain.
There's another. I'm not sure that that's his.
We're going to make stuff up.
I don't know. I saw him speak. He was such a great speaker. Very impressive.
Magic Johnson?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's
Amazing. So, anyway, all right. Let's dig in. I know everyone likes to hear little local stats, right? We talked about Orange County being up 6.5%. Some of our local stuff. It's a kind of a real estate is local even by town. So one of the towns that I thought had the biggest. I'm gonna have it over here. Hold on. That had like the biggest jumps, and I was happy to see it. And sometimes I get a little surprised. Was Greenville, right? So Greenville this year, their home prices on average over the last 12 months are up 18%. It went from average home sale price of $442 to $525. I know there's a bunch of new construction up there, and as people feel like they're priced out of one area, they move to that next town.
I hope
They move
Uncle
to that
Lou's
next
listening.
town.
Yeah, exactly. The guy that said the way that's going to crash.
So yeah, that is a
I mean,
big.
I see that with my buyers. They're just going out a little bit. Even
Yep.
Port Jervis, like Port Jervis has become a little hot spot for
It has, you
for
know-
affordability, and then
I'm gonna
price increases.
pull Port Jervis because I looked at their stats earlier today, and it was super interesting because it is. So, first of all, hold on, I have to look at the rolling 12 months. You know, it's data, so you got to get it set right. So right now, Port Jervis is up 10% from last year, and they had, you know, seasonally they kind of had a little drop, and I think that was an inventory kind of a drop. But if you look at their, hold on a minute, I'm looking at the wrong thing anyway. So yeah, their sale price is up 7%. Their price per square foot is up, meaning some smaller homes are selling for more. New listings to the market, and they're down almost 20%. Like people are finding Port Jervis now because in the county, it's the most affordably priced home. So people are finding it, and homes are moving faster, which is what's driving that price up. So for them to be down inventory when a lot of people are up a little bit is an interesting story about the area.
They're holding on to what they bought.
Either that or, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of investors buying in Port
Yeah,
Jervis right
there
now.
are multi-units there that I've been grandfathered in. I think they changed the law or something where they're reverting back some multi-units, but yeah, anything that's been grandfathered in, there's definitely a lot of investor activity in there. You just have to watch out for that flood insurance. That's what I always tell people that
Yeah.
are looking there, because it's right along the river, so you never think that you need it, and then you put in the FEMA map, and sure enough, you need it.
Always check.
Always check.
Always
yeah.
check. In Warwick, what do we have here? We have, it's pretty, I mean, kind of flat. We're overall within, I always look at school district when I can, because we have some wonky spaces, right? So Warwick School District overall is down about 3% in terms of sale price. But in terms of our month supply, we're up at 3.4%. And that's an increase, almost 13% up. So when, you know, that's the supply and demand model, right?
That's it.
Supply goes up, prices come down. So we have some more stuff going on there. I'll look at Goshen. I would be helpful if I spelled that right.
I'm sure Goshen's up.
I would think so as well. In the Goshen School District, in terms of month supply, month supply is up 15%, but their sale price in the school district is up 18%.
Wow.
In the last year, and that's an impressive kind of a number. When we look at the quote unquote bar chart, they were out. So that number is interesting because last year I think they had an inventory problem, right? And so the homes that were available last year kind of gave us like a lower number. So if we were to look at the year before, right? So it went from an average price of $580 to $427 to $635, right? If you kind of average that out in a different way, you would see that they are probably, not quite up as high as they're indicating. So it's interesting, right? Stats.
Yeah, no stats.
Stats.
It's just a simple supply and demand. You're right. I mean, we talk about 3.4 months supply on market. What that essentially means is anything below 5 months is essentially a seller's market. 5 to 7 is a balanced market, and above 7 is a buyer's market. Right? We haven't seen a buyer's market since 2011,
Yeah.
and even though we've had a slight uptick in inventory, it's still not enough.
No, it's not.
Not yet,
It's
no.
not enough. And I know that we all talk about like the different levers of real estate, right? Right now, we have rates that are higher, and that is a lever that is applying pressure on the market. That being said, inventory is still really low, and so I feel like that high rate that's hard for people to digest, but the low inventory is like really keeping those two.
It's more, yeah. It's the low inventory is good and bad, right? It's bad because there's low inventory. Buyers have a hard time finding houses, but the good part about it is it's stabilizing prices.
Right.
To an
Yeah,
extent.
we haven't seen these huge price gains. I mean,
Right.
18% in Greenville and Goshen, those are kind of outliers. Like
Correct.
in the commute, in
And
like the county as itself, I think
is-
we're like 4%, right?
I think.
Yeah.
what
It
did we
also
say,
protects us from that
6%?
crash.
6%.
Yeah.
It also protects us from that potential crash.
Oh yeah. No one wants to spend 600 and know next year it's worth 550.
Right.
You know, like it
Right.
doesn't. I don't think we're in a market like that at all.
No.
Like where there's home building, I think is where you're starting to see that, because they're creating the inventory, and home builders can dictate prices more than anyone, and because they can give great rates on houses without really impacting their price point. They just boost up the price, give an incentive like that buy down to keep their price elevated, so that the 10 other houses they sell down the road, their price comp is still high, but they're really taking 20 grand hit on the chin because they're giving an incentive to lower the rate. So they control that piece of it. And when you're seeing the inventory picking up and where they're building the houses, I think that's where you're seeing the prices come down a little bit from what I can see.
Well, the prices are always going to be driven by the buyer.
Yeah.
The buyer dictates the pricing. What the buyer's willing to pay is what the price is going to be.
Yep.
Correct. So I use that all the time. One of the, in this market, right, you have different pricing strategies for people, right? Like that's one of the big things when you're listing your home. We're going to sit down, we're going to look at your house, we're going to make sure it's ready, we're going to talk about what you can do. But ultimately we're going to talk about what is the range that your home should get, and what is our strategy to get you to the top of that range, right? And there are certain parts of the market where you're going to do a lot better if you price your home a little lower.
That's right.
To drive more traffic and get a lot of people through the door, and people are seeing that other people are there, and you're getting multiple offers, and then people will bid up each other, and you end up by pricing lower, you end up with a higher return for yourself.
Yeah.
People really stubbornly want to price at the top, and
the sellers have to understand that as a real estate agent, your job is two things.
Yeah.
Your first job is drive traffic.
Yep.
Your second job is get them as much money as possible.
Yep.
The more traffic will get, the more money.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think people that want to price high and then reduce, you're shooting yourself in the foot, because the minute you reduce, they go, well, what's wrong with the house? Or why did you advise me to price it this high? I'm like, no, seller, you told me this is the number you wanted. And
That's because Uncle Lou came in.
Right. Well, and not only that, when you price at the top or over where it should be, buyers are out looking at all the other houses, and now they're comparing your house, which should be listed at $475,000, to other $500,000 houses, and they see the difference.
Yeah.
And it makes them want to offer even less.
Yeah.
It's psychology. You want to make people feel like they're getting a good deal because they're going to fight for that good deal until it's where it should be to begin.
And you got to show them the competition. I've taken sellers out to houses.
Oh, I had someone do that for me when I listed a house prior to being an agent. Right? They're like, we want it to be at some number, and she's just like, okay, let's go look at a couple houses. And we came back, and I listed where she told me, because she was right and I was wrong.
Right.
And I saw it with my own eyes.
Yep.
So it's always
that's why you guys ask for feedback at open houses, right? Especially when you do the broker
or the
opens,
broker
too.
tour. Yeah.
You get agent
Sometimes I put a house on broker tour just so that my buyer can hear from other people what I've been telling them.
Yeah.
That's right.
But it's that's okay, because sometimes groupthink helps.
Yeah.
In that way, right? They need validation that what their agent is saying is true, even though I know what I'm doing. So, you gotta prove to people. You gotta show them, because the proof is in the pudding, right?
And what's interesting here too, though, the interest rates don't seem to be affecting much. The average days on market is actually pretty constant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom called me a couple months ago. She said, "What's all this I see on the news about the interest rates?" She said, "What are they?" I said, "Oh, they're about 7." She says, "That's it." She was like 18% on
Right.
her
That's her. Right. That's the
early
perspective
80s.
from there.
But the 20-30 year average is 7%
Yeah.
on interest rates.
Yeah. Right. We're right in the average.
We're
It
right
just
in the
doesn't
average.
feel that way because we're coming up, not coming down.
Right.
That's true, yeah. And then the Fed reduces rates, but the mortgages don't change, so people are like, what's going on?
Right. Why are we so excited about that?
Yeah.
Anyway, hey, we have come to the end of yet another Real Estate Show. Kevin, thank you so much for
Thanks
being
for
our
having me.
guest. And Mike, again, we'll see you in the upcoming weeks.
I'm
and,
sure. My first live in 2025. I don't even know how to end this thing. Oh, there we go, finish.
All right, guys, have a great week.
You too.
Have a good
Take
one.
care.